So sorry.
Oh my gosh, no, you're totally fine.
Freaking Amazon.
Oh, did you get a package?
Yeah, so fun.
Hey everybody, Amanda Smith here with Joy Taylor. I was literally watching you this morning on the herd, and I'm like, she's gonna be on the show today. So same hair, same outfit, maybe?
Yes,
Yeah.
no, different outfit because I've
Oh,
been
okay.
running errands since the herd, but yeah, mostly same hair. Whatever's left of it.
But the moral of the story is thank you for taking time for me today. I really appreciate it.
I'm happy to do it.
So a couple weeks back, it was National Radio Day, which shout out that there's a holiday for everything now. Here for it. And you had posted a picture saying that radio was your first love in media. What sort of drew you to that platform specifically?
Well, I started at Barry University in Miami. That's where I graduated from. And when I first got to Barry, I was a broadcast journalism major, and I just wanted to get just as much experience in everything as possible. So I had a professor, shout out to Connie Hicks, Professor Connie Hicks, who was like my college mom. She came in, it was in her class, and she had someone come in from the radio station on the campus and talk to everyone in the class because everyone was broadcast majors, and just letting everyone know like they need programming, and if you want to come down, come talk to one of the managers, and like you can have your own show, and it's very open. Whatever you want to talk about, whether it's politics or news or music or sports, whatever. They need to fill out the programming schedule, and they're open. So I was like, why everyone doing the radio station? Like, okay, I would assume like everyone on campus, who has something to say would want to do it. So I went down, I asked her for the information after class and went down. And, pretty much the entire time I was at Barry, I was a part of WBRY, which is the radio station there. And yeah, I mean, that kind of like hands-on experience. I mean, obviously it's a university radio station, so it's not like we had the most high-tech equipment, but, it's all pretty much the same theory, whatever level you're at. So that was super helpful as an experience. And then I started interning in Miami. I started on the Joe Rose show, the WQAM, 6 a.m., 6 to 10 a.m. As a college student in Miami was a break into radio. But Joe was great, and that was a good experience. And then from being there, just being in the building, I got to know DJ Laz at Power 96 and Evie and Lucy Lopez. So just, being on the same floor, I would go over there and see everybody. And so I kind of talked my way into an internship over there. Back in those times, back in the day.
You are not that old.
You would be surprised. I graduated in 2009, so I'm 10 years out of college now. But back in the day, you just interned for free, and there weren't a lot of like, sometimes you'd go through college and get credit or whatever, but people would just let you get experience, which is, it's better now that they have everything done by the book. But I basically interned for free for 2 years in college at those radio stations, and then worked as a manager at WBRY at Barry too. So radio always interested me because it was an opinion platform. And while I love TV, and now TV has become like pretty much an all opinion platform, radio was the original one. And I also feel like radio is a great training tool for television because it teaches you how to talk, and you have to fill a lot of time. And it also teaches you to embrace the idea of, which is a radio concept, of play the hits. So, you have a song that's, whatever, Lizzo, Truth Hurts, and everyone like gets in their car, and I love Lizzo, like queen. But, you hear it every single day in the car, like you feel like you just hear it over and over. It's because you do hear it over and over because everyone's requesting it, and you have to play the hits. And it's the same concept with television, same concept with political television, same concept with radio, that you have to give people kind of a new version, but of the biggest stories of the day. So deeper, not wider. And that's really helped me through my career. So I love the concepts of radio. I know I'm being super nerdy right now, but
not even.
That's kind of how I fell in love with it. It's been really helpful, everything that I've learned from my experience in radio. And now obviously I'm back in radio with Colin. has helped me. And what I've noticed is like throughout the business, when people know that you've done radio, specifically sports radio, it's like respect because you know, like you're in like these tiny little studios, and you know it can be a bit of a grind, but it's worth it because you can kind of just create your own persona. And I mean, the biggest guy in the business, it's obviously like Oprah and like Howard Stern, obviously completely different spectrums, but you know, they're, you know, one name, Howard, Oprah, you know what I mean? Like they've created their empires off of branding their personas through opinion and, you know, creating an environment where people feel like they're in the room. And that's really what I appreciate about radio.
Howard, Oprah, and Joy.
Yes.
You know, we're talking about the jobs that you've had within the radio business, and your website says it, and it's kind of true that you came in and you knocked down the doors of what seems to sometimes be the boys' club of sports talk radio. How did you break down those barriers of being a woman in a still rare role?
Well, I was really lucky. I worked with a lot of great people who believed in me, and that's important. I think in any business, you got to have a break here and there. But I also just approached the business with the mentality that like no is not an option. And I don't know if you want to say, unfortunately, to me, I feel like it's an advantage. If people don't take you seriously or people underestimate you, then you have, to me, the advantage. It's when you have come in with these incredible expectations and you have to live up to this unrealistic idea that it, you know, can kind of become problemsome. But if you come in and you're just like, you're the girl in the room, but you know more about this experience and you've studied harder than this person, like the best will always rise to the top. And you know, everyone's going to have situations in their career where they just have a bad boss, or they, you know, got hired at a bad time with the company and everybody, you know, gets let go. Like things happen. Like I've had every kind of experience in the business. But to me, I just always tell people, I kind of went in with the mentality that I'm going to be better, not because I am better, but because I'm going to work harder. Like I'm going to do the extra hours. I'm going to take the extra assignment. I'm going to not do things where, you know, you're just, you know, a company's just taking advantage of you, but you have to make yourself not replaceable. And in a business where you kind of get the feeling like you're kind of always made to feel replaceable, and that's just through, honestly, hard work. It sounds very cliche, but you just have to work harder than everybody, and it'll actually benefit you because it'll make you better. So yes, it's a boys club, but I mean, if you have a personality and you're entertaining and you know what you're talking about, like it will come to you because you're putting the work in.
Shout out Queen. Also, I like, speaking of Lizzo, I saw like a meme the other day that was like, I gotta stop being insecure. I'm disappointing Lizzo. Like, preach.
Yeah, I saw that too. That's really how I feel. First of all, Lizzo is like my Beyonce right now.
Yes.
We have to protect her at all costs. Happy birthday, Beyonce, by the way. It's her birthday today. But yeah, no, it's true. Like if you doubt yourself, other people will see that and they'll doubt you too. And obviously there's a balance you have to walk there, but I always think you have to find something that is an advantage to you. So I played sports growing up. I ran track, played soccer, played volleyball, played basketball since I was in like 5th or 6th grade, same with track. So I know all of that lifestyle and what that entails. And then I ran track in college too. So I'm a collegiate athlete, so I can speak to, you know, what those pressures are and, you know, what it means to be recruited and going on trips and dealing with the NCAA, you know. So don't ever play down like your own experiences and what you bring as an individual to the business or to your brands. Like just because you're a woman doesn't mean that you weren't an NCAA athlete, doesn't mean you didn't go on, you know, recruiting trips. Like you can use all of those things to your advantage and your experience and where you speak from.
You know, to those who maybe watch you and listen to you and want to be in the position that you have one day, what would you say to them?
Well, I would say decide what it is exactly that you want to do. Because a lot of people think this business is very limited, and it's not. There are so many jobs in this business. It's not just being an opinionist. You know, there's sideline reporters, there's football sideline reporters, there's college football sideline reporters, and NFL sideline reporters. There's NASCAR. There is Olympics, track and field. Like there's women's basketball. There's like what is it that you specifically want to do? Do you want to be a sideline reporter? Do you want to do what I do? Do you want to do what Skip Bayless does, which is very different from what Colin does? Do you want to host? Do you want to moderate? Do you want to host a radio show specifically? Do you want to work on behind the scenes? Do you want to produce? Do you want to create shows? Do you want to be an executive? Do you want to deal with talent? Like there are a graphics editor, like there's a million producer, there's a million jobs. And I run into a lot of people who are like, yeah, I really want to get in the business. And I'm like, oh, great. Like, what do you want to do? I don't know. I could produce, or I could, maybe start behind the scenes. And then I think I want to do radio. Like, I always knew I wanted to be an opinionist because I have a lot of stuff to say. And so everything that I do aligns with the end goal of eventually getting my own show. So if I'm like, I don't really know, like, do I want to produce? Because producing is really fun and it's very hands-on and very rewarding. So do I want to be a producer? Do I want to be a showrunner? But if I'm trying to do that, then I'm taking a very different career path. So the very first thing that you need to decide, and there's a lot of ways to be successful in the business, is decide what it is you want to do. Because if you're unsure, that's fine. There was a time where I was unsure about, what business I even wanted to be in. But if you're unsure, you're just doing a lot of stuff. There's a famous John Wooden quote, never mistake activity for achievement. So you're very busy, but you're busy not doing anything. Like if you want to be a doctor, you're not going to go out and work on cars all day. It's the same concept with the media business. You really want to pick what you want to do. And maybe one day you will do it and you won't like it, you want to do something else. But it's very hard to be successful at anything in life without goals. And like, it sounds silly, like write it on your mirror or write it down and put it on a Post-it note or something. Like people think it sounds very obnoxious, but some of the most successful people in the world give themselves reminders every day of what their goal is and what they need to do today. And you are what you habitually do. So you have to pick something that you want to do first. And it sounds very limiting. It's, we're all artists, so we won't be bound by that, but it's super, super important. And you can get to that and then say, okay, I love this, but I want to evolve to this, but you need to reach goals first. So that's the first thing I would say. And then the second thing is just, once you decide, just really try to find a mentor that you trust, and not just one, just reach out. People will give you advice and help you along the way, let you come in and watch their show and ask questions. And people are actually much more open to, helping the next generation come along. In my opinion, I think there's more than enough room in the business, especially now, for everyone. So, I think being around like the next wave is super important anyway, but a lot of people feel the same way. So you will have people who will help you, and, take their advice if it's good advice and it's someone that you trust. And then also just really work hard, like find what it is that you love, that you're good at, and just dig in on that. But it's a commitment. It's not, I will not sit here and say it's going to be easy. It's not easy. Like you're joking that I'm not that old. Like I've been in the business for 12 years. That's 12 years. So it's longer than you think. And I just got to FS1 3 years ago. So to put it in perspective, like it doesn't happen overnight, but nothing that is worth it is going to be overnight. So you really want to focus. And I don't want to sound like too cliche, but that's really what it is. Like it's just hard work and focus.
When you knew that, okay, I want to be an opinionist, were there jobs that you turned down because they didn't fit that goal?
Oh yeah. Because in the business, you're going to start, once you start building a reputation and you start building a brand, people are going to come to you with opportunities. And some might be like, wow, I could make a ton of money doing this, or I could go to this city and be, a news anchor, and that pays a lot more than being a sports reporter in this city. But is that going to help you get to where you want to go? And, every opportunity is not legit. So just because somebody comes to you like, hey, I want you to be this freelance reporter for this event, you got to vet things and follow up and look at their website and see what they've done. And so, yeah, you're going to turn down things, but that's fine. That's a good thing that you have the ability to have opportunities to turn down. But yeah, you're going to run into things that don't work for you once you decide what you want to do. And I've turned down things. It's not because it wasn't a bad thing or a negative thing. It just wasn't the right thing.
I mean, it didn't fit that end goal that you had in mind of, I want to get to here.
Right. It just didn't match the path. Like it didn't fit that.
Yeah. And everyone's path is different. And I think that oftentimes too, I've done it too, where I ask people like, how did you get to where you are? And everyone has such a different story. So there's no one right way to do something. You got to find what works for you.
And my path was kind of unique because I came up through radio, and, some people come up through writing. Skip was a columnist for like 30 years, I mean, he did radio too, but, he was mostly known for writing. So like everybody, like you said, has a different path. But the one thing in common is they all have the same goal, like the goal of reaching the success that they're at now.
Shout out to all of y'all. Yes. Okay, we're going to take a quick break. Don't go anywhere, because coming up on the other side, Joy and I are playing a round of Sane or Crazy. Stick around. Welcome back inside How She Did It. Amanda Smith here with Joy Taylor, who has her own podcast, Maybe I'm Crazy, which I ask myself many times a day. So we are going to play a round of Sane or Crazy, NFL edition, to honor opening day.
Let's do it.
Okay. So, Joy, Zeke's 6-year, $90 million extension, making him the highest paid running back in the NFL. Sane or crazy?
I think it's sane. I think that teams have very small windows to win championships when they have all their talent in their prime. They have everything clicking. They have a connection between the running backs and receivers and the quarterback, and everything is just aligns perfectly, unless you're the Patriots and you're there every year. So they needed Zeke. They were not going to even have a chance of winning the Super Bowl without him. And a lot of people don't think they have a chance of winning with him, but they had to pay him. And for all of Jerry Jones' talk about pie, like you have more than enough pie. Nobody understands the salary cap in any sport anyway. So, it's not even really worth discussing. I don't care about the money. People get all caught up in the money. Like I said, the only number that matters really is the guaranteed number when it comes to NFL contracts anyway. So he got $50 million guaranteed. It's a long contract. So it's not going to have the salary cap implications that everyone thinks, even though feels like a massive number. It's 6 years and it's $50 million guaranteed. So however you want to balance that out, and then take into account that they already had him under contract for 2 more years anyway. So they needed Zeke. To me, the more dramatic contract is going to be Dak's contract and what happens with him, because I don't understand what they're doing with that. Like, I would have signed the quarterback first, especially considering Zeke's off the field inconsistencies. But no, I think it's sane. I think they had to do it.
You talk about quarterbacks, guaranteed numbers. How about Jared Goff's guaranteed $110 million? Sane or crazy?
I like Jared Goff a lot. Colin and I talk about this a lot because we're in LA and it's a very hard place to hide. And I have never seen Jared Goff anywhere. Not that I am out and about like that, but I've never seen him, and neither is Colin. And he's the quarterback of the LA Rams.
Right.
He might, run into him at a Starbucks or something, but he's never out. And that's a good thing. Like, he's consistent. I mean, they were in the Super Bowl last year. You had to pay him. Again, like, the numbers for a quarterback or numbers for a running back or whoever the top paid guy is always going to be critiqued. But guess what? The next guy that comes up for a contract, he's going to be the highest paid. And then guess what? The next guy is going to be the highest paid after that. So unless you're Jacoby Brissett, it's going to always outmatch the number before it. Like, they set the mark and then the next guy is going to get paid that. So the numbers, again, don't really give me pause. And I think that Jared Goff is a great top level quarterback, and he's going to be there for years to come. So again, you had to sign him. So people get, caught up in, is it McVay? Is it Goff? Is it Mahomes? Is it Reed? It's a combination of the two every single time. You're never going to have a quarterback that's won multiple Super Bowls or been to multiple Super Bowls without a high level coach in the NFL. Like, if you look through history, that's just how it works. So I think it's a great match and it makes sense for them.
All right. Speaking of Super Bowls, hot take: the Patriots won't be in the Super Bowl. Sane or crazy?
Sane. I don't like the Patriots receivers this year. I know it's still Tom Brady and I know it's Belichick. Their center, I believe, is out for the year as well with blood clots, and that's a pretty important position. I'm somewhat speaking from a hopeful place, and then also trying to, use some actual NFL football ration to it. But I don't think they make the Super Bowl this year. I think all of the other teams around the league have taken a step up, the high level teams. I don't think that the Rams are going to have a Super Bowl hangover at all, and I don't think that the Chiefs have gotten worse at all. Kareem Hunt is obviously a big loss for them, but they just signed LaShawn McCoy. They'll figure that part out. They still have Mahomes. Everything else is still in place. Tyreek Hill is still there. So no, I don't think that the Patriots make the Super Bowl this year.
There you have it for this week on Sane or Crazy with Joy Taylor. We're going to take another quick break. Don't go anywhere because coming up next, Joy is answering your questions. Stick around. All right, everybody. Welcome back inside How She Did It. Amanda Smith here, still with Joy Taylor. She hasn't left yet. And she is now answering your questions. So from Dragon Ball Drew, he would like to know, what are some of your ambitions and professional goals moving forward in your career?
Good question. I would like to eventually host my own show. By my own, not necessarily meaning I wouldn't have a co-host, but be the host of my own show on network or otherwise. But that's been my goal my whole career. And after that, who knows? But that's the next step in my career, is to host my own show.
I'm gonna listen. I'm already subscribed to Maybe I'm Crazy. You better go do it too.
Exactly, you too.
Okay, so the Awesomator, which apparently he's awesome, says, what was it like going from undisputed to the herd?
It wasn't too much of an adjustment because I had filled in for Christine a lot on the herd while I was working on Undisputed. So I knew the beats of the show already. I'd worked with Colin a bunch before I made the transition. So I pretty much knew the lay of the land. So there wasn't a big transitional period from Undisputed to the herd. As far as the actual shows, obviously it's, night and day with the structure of the show. Undisputed is a debate show, and I was the moderator of it. So, it's intensity for 2.5 hours, back and forth, and you have to pay attention the entire time because at any moment it can, the ping pong ball can bounce to you. And, it's Skip Bayless and Shannon Sharp. So there's a lot going on, and they are great and super fun to work with. It's an awesome show, and I loved every second of it. And especially to be a part of, the show that launched Skip and Shannon on FS1 was really special. So we had a really great time on that show. And now Colin, obviously I said I'd worked with Colin before. Colin is completely different from Skip and Shannon in the way he prepares for the show is different. Skip and Shannon do not talk about what they're going to say on the show at all before the show. Like, it is like, these are the topics, bye-bye, we'll see you when the show starts. Like, there's no revealing of what their takes are whatsoever. Colin does a much longer meeting and fleshes everything out. It's much more theoretical. So it's a different style of show, and it's radio, obviously. So the beats of the show, how long the segments are, how long the breaks are totally different. But they're both really fun, and I'm enjoying being on the herd right now. It's been great, and Colin's great to work with.
You do such a good job. Like I said, the herd has always been one of my favorite shows to watch, and I watched it when Christine was on it, and so now to have you on it, I'm like, Joy's coming on the pod today. This is too cool.
Thank you.
Okay, so LJ Grayson says, maybe you get asked this a lot, but do you think the Colts missed a golden opportunity to try out Cap or sign him?
I don't get asked this a lot, actually. I think that a lot of teams have missed an opportunity to sign Colin Kaepernick, and that's kind of why it's hard to debate anymore that there is not some kind of collusion or agreement, even if it is unspoken, that he will not play in the NFL again, which is a shame because especially when you look at some of the quarterback talent that has been signed for a backup position, it's like, really? And I understand it's the quarterback position. So, when you are in that position, there's a certain different type of scrutiny that you come under. Obviously, Kaepernick is going to be a huge story if he's signed somewhere. But that said, I think at the end of the day, if it's a strong organization, they can make that happen. And it's really unfortunate. I think that the main purpose of not signing him is to deter other people from doing that in the future, from protesting in the future, which again, I also feel is just wrong. I don't think that the situation was handled properly at any from start to finish. Kaepernick was completely within his right to do that. And you can talk about, it's someone else's stage. It's the chicken or the egg. Nobody's ever come to a game other than a Dallas Cowboys game to see the owner. Not one fan ever. You can't buy an owner jersey in the team store. No one's there for them. And, it's kind of an ego thing. I understand we live in polarizing times, but there's nothing polarizing about what he was protesting. So, I don't, it's really just sad. Like, it's a sad situation. He deserves another opportunity to play in the NFL. And once, when you look at the talent that has been signed at a backup position, and he's not trying to get a starting position. There's all these theories that people have out there, like, oh, well, he wants to come in and be the starter. He doesn't want to play for this amount of money. It's like, it's all nonsense. It's just excuses. But yeah, I mean, it's not limited to the Colts. There's a number of teams. I mean, obviously the Dolphins would have been a perfect position over the past couple of years to sign Kaepernick, and a lot of teams have missed the boat with that.
Do you think we'll see a time where he's in the game again?
I don't, because, it's been a couple years now.
Right.
That he hasn't played in the league. And not that matters, because there's guys who are literally sitting on the couch who have been signed because there's such a demand for quarterbacks. But I think in his situation, people look for any excuse not to give him an opportunity. And the longer that he is out, the more it feels like that's not going to happen.
All right, last question we have for you today is from Brandon C. Smith 5. And he says, Joy, how did you make the jump from radio to TV?
Well, when I was working in radio, I was freelancing, doing a lot of TV, like reporting stuff in Miami. So I was slowly getting experience doing that, whether it was sidelines. I worked, covering youth sports, high school sports, all kinds of stuff in Miami, freelancing. And then eventually I started working with CBSSports.com with Fantasy Football Today and Thursday Night Football on CBS Sports. So Jamie Eisenberg and Dave Richard. So that was a really good experience. And that was studio. So that was kind of like the next step up from freelance reporting. Not every day, obviously, I was still doing radio, but that was like my first step into the studio network type of work. So freelancing is super important when you're trying to break into TV. You got to be careful again with it, because not everything is legit. But now it's kind of, that was a while ago. But now it's very different because, digital shows are taken very seriously now. A lot of people have digital shows, YouTube shows, podcasts, and that really didn't exist at the time when I was trying to break into the business. Like, you really had to get with something that's going to be on TV in order to get stuff for your reel. And you really don't have to do that anymore. So for someone who's trying to break into TV or transition from, say, podcast to TV or podcast to digital shows, like, you can really just do it yourself. Like, as long as you have a computer, or not even that, just do it on a phone. You can get stuff for your reel. Obviously, it's nice to have network level production and graphics and stuff. And for certain jobs, they're going to want to see that you have that experience. But it's really reps that people are looking for. And so freelancing for me was a good way to get in front of the camera, get comfortable, make all my mistakes. And then eventually, you'll get an opportunity to get in the studio or get on network reporting. And that's kind of how you then transition. Because you always want to have an updated reel for anyone, because that's the first thing they're going to ask for in TV or radio, is to send in your reel, which is basically a clip of your best work. And so having, network stuff on there was important, but it's not always necessary, though.
And here you are now.
Yep.
So it all worked out. Joy, thank you so much for taking the time to be on my show today. I really appreciate it. Make sure that you subscribe to her podcast, everybody. Maybe I'm Crazy, and keep up with her on Fox Sports.
Thank you. Thanks for having me. Hi, everyone, and thank you for sending me questions. And yeah, check me out on The Herd. And watch all the shows on FS1, and you can get the podcast, Maybe I'm Crazy podcast, on everything on Spotify, Apple, YouTube, iHeartMedia, and SoundCloud.
Yes, there's the plug. That's what I'm talking about. All right, everybody. We'll catch you next time.